I wasn't anyone's number one person. Everyone around me already had a best friend somehow, someone you drop everything for, tell everything to. Am I not good enough? Why am I nobody's first choice? If I did something for them, I would almost expect an exactly matched effort, or I would feel like they didn't like me as much. Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome to me talking nonstop at you and you not being able to say a thing. We have a great time. Today we're going to talk about why it's okay if you don't have a best friend. This topic might seem like it's coming out of nowhere and an overshare, but I want to talk about it because I have been overthinking this my entire life, and now I would like peace. When I was younger, I really felt like something was wrong with me, and I still do, but in like a funny way. Even as a kid, it was like everyone around me already had a best friend somehow, like I had missed the day when everyone paired up and chose a favorite and there was no spot left for me. I didn't have that kind of best friend you choose over everyone else in your life, someone you drop everything for, tell everything to. I wasn't anyone's number one person. I'm an only child. I don't know if you can tell. Some people say they can, and I'm not sure if that's offensive. I always tell people I was not socialized as a child as a joke, but it's not a joke. I had a very lonely childhood, but if I felt bad about it at the time, I wasn't consciously aware. Alone was just how things were. I had to entertain myself and be comfortable with silence and sit in my own thoughts. I distinctly remember in school learning people's mannerisms for how to, be a human being. Like how to act when someone compliments you. I had to study that. I also always struggled with larger group dynamics. Having moved around a lot and sometimes between countries, I was often the outsider. I didn't get TV references because I didn't watch the same shows. And in group conversations, people exchange dialogue really quickly and interrupt. And in that rare moment that I could actually come up with something to say, it was already too late because someone else had already jumped in. So with all this social anxiety, I started to think that if I just had a magical best friend who accepted me, I could stick with them and then not have to worry about other people. I could feel normal. And without this best friend, I felt inherently unlovable and embarrassed because I thought, am I not good enough? Otherwise, why am I nobody's first choice? There's this myth of a best friend, right? Like in media, you'll see BFFs who hang out at each other's houses and FaceTime for hours and make friendship bracelets and drink each other's blood. They tell each other everything and they never have to worry about who to do things with because they have a soulmate, which is so crazy because I never bought into soulmates romantically, but I really was searching for that in a friend. I wanted that connection so badly. I wanted security. I wanted unconditional love. I wanted to be understood by someone and be validated as their number one. And I felt like I would have been a great best friend if just given that opportunity because I had a lot of care and attention and thoughtfulness to offer someone. I felt ready, but starting with a best friend position and then recruiting desperately for someone to fill an emptiness inside you just was backwards. Best friendship doesn't work when you're just chasing to be chosen. I have had near misses. I've jumped into friendships where I didn't really take the time to get to know the other person organically and just exchanged like trauma dumps until we approximated that closeness that normally develops over time. My want to be close to somebody, anybody, caused me to blunder into friendships that weren't good fits at all. Not always because there was anything wrong with either party, but just some people aren't compatible and that's perfectly fine. Best friends can cause a lot of emotional damage because you let them get so close. So the wrong best friend is dangerous and you have to be picky to protect yourself. A best friend should be adding to your life. You should be leaving interactions feeling better about them. They should never make you feel anxious or worried to be 100% yourself. And if you're in a trio where you have more than one best friend, there can be a lot of hurt feelings with imbalanced relationships if the other two people are closer. I've been in trios just twice in my life. In one, the close pair was constantly rotating, and that was a lot of time and energy wasted on my part, stressing and feeling bad and wondering where I stood. The other danger is the high expectations. For some people, best friendship leads to codependency or feeling like you can't do anything or be anybody without them. For me, because I had so much I expected out of the other person, if I did something for them, I would almost expect an exactly matched effort, or I would feel like they didn't like me as much, and it would shake my self-esteem. It was a terrible mindset because friendships are not transactional, and also this is an impossible standard. We're different people. I can't be best friends with a carbon copy of myself. I think that would actually break me. Basically, I operated with the mindset that if I just did things for them or gave little gifts or showed up for them, I could earn being valued as a person. But you shouldn't have to do any of that because they should like you as you are. All that should be extra. I'm more aware of all these underlying core beliefs I had and am thus more able to correct them in the moment. But at my big age, I still don't have a best friend, and it is because of me. The difference now is I care a lot less, which is why I made this whole video. But you know what I mean. I dwell on this subject a lot out of habit, but it doesn't hurt me as much as it once did. Now I give myself grace and am honest with the reasons that I don't have a best friend. I used to feel sad in particular about not having a childhood best friend because the thought of it just seems so beautiful, right? To have friends who have stuck with you for so long, but it just wasn't feasible for me. I moved around, I had social anxiety, I couldn't live, laugh, love under those conditions. I can't do anything about it now. You can't retroactively make a childhood best friend, and even if you could, it's not all roses. Some childhood best friends grow apart or don't work out. It's not a necessity, and you can find a best friend at any age. Just because you've known someone for longer doesn't mean they're better. You probably have a better chance finding a great fit outside of your hometown. You don't want a best friend for its own sake. You could go out and do what I used to do, aka go and try to impress people and make friends like a numbers game and hope one is gonna stick. But I've been there, and I know it can feel so much worse than being alone, because now you're tired too. The way I make friends now is without expectations. I try not to change anything about me when I meet people. I go try all the activities I want to do, and I go alone if no friends want to go. I'm socially anxious and introverted, so I do sometimes feel the urge to mask myself as interesting, which in society seems to be extroverted and high energy, but I'm okay if people see through that to how I actually am, aka boring and low energy. Reclaiming it. If I feel like I'm trying too hard or not being like myself because I'm uncomfortable for some reason, even after several interactions, maybe we just don't click or have a lot in common. I don't internalize it anymore as my own problem, but I am honest with myself and know that at least at this stage, if I'm not able to securely be myself, I'm just not ready to be close to this person. Because why fake something that you can't keep up with when there will be people who prefer you as you are? I know it can be hard to think about it this way if you currently are in a bad headspace, because I, again, have been there, but I think if you're at this point in the video, you are a curious person. You're reflective, you like to know why people are the way they are, and these are all really interesting, genuine traits that I would gravitate toward. Making any kind of good friend takes time and patience, and I make close friends very slowly. I feel like in each stage of my life, I naturally pick up 2 to 3 friends that I stay in touch with, even if it's not regular or even often. I am monitoring if I've swung too far the other way though and become too picky. Picky is good to an extent because you don't have infinite energy and you want to invest enough of yourself into each relationship. But sometimes I worry I set the bar too high up front and have a tendency to write people off as not close friend potential too early if I see some kind of misalignment in values. On one hand, sometimes you can just tell and it's good to not waste anyone's time. On the other, you can't really build a friend with all your ideal parts. Also, sometimes you can be wrong and people will surprise you. I now truly appreciate being alone without thinking about how society might view it, whereas I used to equate being alone to being a loser. But being alone is peaceful. Being alone is quiet. Being alone is something I need as an introvert. When you're alone, you can do whatever you want and go wherever you want, and there's a certain freedom there. I have gone on solo birthday trips the past few years because I genuinely love it so much and know exactly how to show myself a good time. I'm also often alone because my hobbies are solitary. I like to read and write, for example. I'm very basic like that. I once went to a meetup for writers and we all just sat there in silence for 3 hours, doing our own work. So when there's someone who has best friend potential, they're now up against this really high bar. I might actually enjoy being by myself more or working on my own things in the early stages of getting to know a person, because getting to know a person and then showing up for them consistently over time takes a lot of energy. But I understand this is a trade-off, and the feeling of, oh, could I be doing XYZ is just something I have to put aside to really give the friendship a chance to grow. So you also have to consider, after all of your wishing for a best friend, do you even have the bandwidth? Sorry, my corporate came out. Do you even have the capacity for one? I feel like I might not even have the time for the best friendship that I always used to dream about. Maybe I would make space if the right person turned up, but who knows? It's a good thing to spend all your time focused on yourself and achieving your goals, but maybe if you want that, you have to be realistic which you want more, or you gotta work on a balance. Currently, I categorize my friends. There are functional friends, so people who you only really interact with in limited dimensions, for example, a work friend or a party friend. You have these catch-up friends who you get together with once in a while to hear what's been up, or even better, explore an activity together. And you have feelings friends, who are the ones who hear about how you're really doing and the minor inconveniences of life. You have different types of friends of varying effort levels and depth, because people were just not built to maintain 1,000 equally close besties despite what social media has to say. You have limited time and energy, and these people serve different functions so that collectively they can fulfill your needs, and all that hope and expectation is not all bundled up into one poor person. That's exhausting. Some people who feel like they have no friends actually do, and just mean they don't have a best friend. And this is more my case. Every time I feel like I have no friends or I am craving a best friend, it's because I'm improperly balancing the time spent among the different types of friends. Currently, I lack enough feelings friends in my area since most of mine are long distance, so I'm mindful of that. I try to contact them more, and I find an emotional outlet in an activity. If you don't have any friends, like not even functional friends, you can't be expecting a best friend out of nowhere. It will be really slow, and be honest with yourself as to whether you are creating a conducive environment for friendship to occur. And if you genuinely are, then it's just luck and time. When you have really high quality standards for something, you have to be at peace with it never happening. This goes for any kind of relationship. At this point, I'm open to a best friend if I meet the right person, but I won't force it or wait around. As an adult, friendships are just harder to create and maintain. People have their own lives, and it's often not personal if people are too busy. If people don't text me back for a bit, I understand that they don't feel up to talking to me, and that's okay. I don't feel like talking to people all the time either, and if people don't text me back ever, I match energy and move on. A friend I had once said the way he thinks of his friends is as cats. To be honest, I have a terrible memory, so I actually have no idea if I just made that up, but I think he said his friends are cats because he just lets them walk into his life and out of his life as they please. He's happy if they return to see him, but he doesn't wait for them to, and is just grateful for their time together. He and I don't really speak anymore, which is fitting, but friendships aren't meaningless just because they're temporary. Some of the things he said I still carry with me. Of course, even now, it's not like I feel incredible about having no best friend. I just feel neutral. Sometimes there is a twinge of embarrassment, which is normal. The other day I was thinking, like, if I got married, I might not have a maid of honor. I worried that it would be weird. I wondered if people would judge me. And then I think, do I care, or am I just assuming that other people will? Also, do I even need to rank order my friends anyway? Who cares? If I must care, let me just worry about it when the time comes. Like, what is the point? I don't know the circumstances that compelled you to watch me just expel my thoughts. All I can say is that I wish I had heard someone say this to me when I was younger. Well, someone probably did, and then I didn't listen to them. So now you can do the same to me. I think some things you just have to hear a few times, learn the lesson the hard way, maybe also a few times, and then eventually it'll click. But it will click. All right, that's all. I normally review TV shows and movies, so this is really out of left field. So let me know if I should never do this again. Bye!